They ignore you because you are predictable. They ignore you because they already know you will answer. They already know you will forgive. They already know you will explain yourself. They already know you will come back. And the moment people can predict your reaction, they stop respecting your presence. This is why some people can be kind, loyal, available, and still be treated like they are invisible. Not because they are weak inside, but because they have trained people to believe there are no consequences for disrespecting them. The truth is uncomfortable. People do not ignore what they fear losing. They do not ignore what has standards. They do not ignore what can walk away. They ignore what is always available. They ignore what is always begging to be understood. They ignore what has no edge. And that is why they will keep ignoring you until you become dangerous, not violent, not cruel, not toxic. Dangerous means controlled. Dangerous means silent when they expect you to react. Dangerous means calm when they want you emotional. Dangerous means you can leave without making a scene. Dangerous means you no longer need to prove your worth to people who benefit from doubting it. And once you become that kind of person, everything changes. Because the same people who ignored your presence will suddenly start studying your silence. Most people confuse being liked with being respected. They think if they are kind enough, patient enough, forgiving enough, people will finally value them. But human behavior does not work that way. People may like your kindness. They may enjoy your availability. They may benefit from your loyalty, but they will not automatically respect you because of it. Respect is not created by how much you give. Respect is created by what you refuse to tolerate. A person who gives everything but tolerates disrespect teaches others a dangerous lesson. They teach people, I can cross the line and nothing will happen. They teach people, I can delay, ignore, disrespect, disappear, and they will still be there. This is how good people become invisible. They give too much access. They explain too much. They forgive too quickly. They stay too long in rooms where their presence is not valued. And slowly, their kindness stops looking like kindness. It starts looking like desperation. This is the first painful lesson. People do not respect unlimited access. They respect boundaries. They respect standards. They respect the possibility that your presence can be removed. That is when you stop being just nice. That is when you become dangerous. Think about the people who ignore your messages. The ones who only remember you when they need something. The ones who disrespect your time. The ones who act cold, then return like nothing happened. Ask yourself one question. What consequence did they ever face for treating you that way? Did you pull back? Did you stop giving the same energy? Did you become unavailable? Or did you explain, forgive, and continue exactly as before? This is where most people lose power. They think a long emotional explanation will make someone understand. But explanations do not create respect. Patterns do. People believe what you repeatedly allow. If someone disrespects you and you still reward them with your attention, your loyalty, your energy, and your emotional reaction, they learn that disrespect costs them nothing. And when disrespect costs nothing, it repeats. This is why silence becomes powerful. Not the weak silence where you are secretly hoping they notice. Not the passive silence where you suffer and wait. Real silence, the kind where you stop performing, you stop chasing, you stop asking why. You stop giving emotional discounts to people who know exactly what they are doing. That silence is dangerous because it removes the reward. It tells people, without one dramatic speech, that access to you is no longer guaranteed. And that is when they start paying attention. Weak people are easy to control because their emotions are easy to trigger. Insult them and they explode. Ignore them and they chase. Reject them and they beg. Doubt them and they start explaining. This is what makes them predictable. And what is predictable can be controlled. But a dangerous person is different. You cannot easily pull them into emotional chaos. You cannot make them defend themselves every time you misunderstand them. You cannot make them chase every time you become distant. You cannot make them prove their value every time you act unimpressed. They have mastered the gap between stimulus and response. Someone disrespects them. They pause. Someone tries to provoke them. They observe. Someone withdraws attention to manipulate them. They withdraw their energy completely. This kind of control makes people uncomfortable because manipulators need a reaction. They need your anger. They need your confusion. They need your panic. They need you to become emotional so they can become powerful. But when you do not react on command, you take away their weapon. You become unreadable, and unreadable people are never easy to ignore. One of the fastest ways to lose value in someone's eyes is to be available all the time, always replying, always explaining, always agreeing, always adjusting your plans, always giving more chances, always acting like your life is waiting for their attention. This destroys mystery, and mystery is important because people are drawn to what they do not fully control. When someone knows they can access you anytime, your presence becomes ordinary. When they know you will always reply, your reply loses weight. When they know you will always forgive, your forgiveness loses meaning. But when you become selective, everything changes. You stop answering every message immediately. You stop accepting every invitation. You stop giving emotional energy to people who only take. You stop being everywhere. You stop being too easy to reach. And suddenly, your absence starts speaking louder than your presence ever did. This is not about playing games. It is about returning your energy to yourself. A dangerous person does not disappear to manipulate. They disappear to rebuild. They become busy with their own growth, their goals, their body, their money, their discipline, their mind, their peace. And when people notice that your world no longer revolves around them, they begin to understand something. You were never weak. You were simply too available. A lot of people talk about self-respect, but very few people are willing to pay the price of it. Because self-respect sometimes means losing people. It means not sending that extra message. It means not asking for closure from someone who gave you confusion on purpose. It means not returning to a place where you were tolerated instead of valued. It means letting people misunderstand you without begging them to see your heart. This is the moment you become dangerous, when you can walk away without announcing it, when you can remove access without revenge, when you can let silence explain what your words never could. People expect emotional people to negotiate their worth. They expect you to say, "Please understand me." They expect you to say, "Please don't leave." They expect you to say, "Please respect me." But dangerous people do not beg for respect. They require it. And when it is not present, they exit. Quietly, cleanly, permanently. That is terrifying to people who thought you would always stay. Because now, they must face the truth. They did not lose you in one moment. They lost you every time they assumed you had no limits. So how do you become dangerous? You start by controlling the one thing most people never control: yourself, your emotions, your reactions, your need for validation, your urge to explain, your fear of being disliked, your addiction to being chosen, because the person who controls himself cannot be easily controlled by others. This is where true power begins. Not in being loud, not in being cruel, not in intimidating people, but in becoming disciplined enough that people cannot use your wounds against you. When they ignore you, you do not chase. When they provoke you, you do not explode. When they doubt you, you do not over-explain. When they disrespect you, you do not debate your value. You adjust access. You move differently. You become calmer, sharper, less available, more focused, more private, more difficult to read. That is the transformation. You stop asking, "Why don't they respect me?" And you start asking, "Why do they still have access to me?" That question alone can change your life. Here is the strange part. The moment you stop needing their attention, they often start giving it. The moment you stop chasing, they start wondering where you went. The moment you stop explaining, they start trying to understand. The moment you become calm, they realize they no longer control your emotions, but by then, you are different. You no longer feel excited because someone finally noticed you. You no longer confuse late attention with real respect. You no longer open the door just because someone knocked after ignoring you for months. Because becoming dangerous also means becoming selective. You understand that not every person who returns deserves access. Some people come back because they miss you. Others come back because they miss the version of you they could use. You must know the difference. The old you would have accepted anyone who came back. The new you observes. The new you waits. The new you lets behavior prove what words promise. That is power. They ignored you because you were too easy to read, too easy to reach, too easy to forgive, too easy to provoke, too easy to keep around without effort. But that version of you does not have to survive. You can become dangerous, not by becoming heartless, but by becoming disciplined, not by hurting people, but by refusing to abandon yourself, not by seeking revenge, but by becoming so focused on your own growth that people can no longer use your attention as a toy. The dangerous person is not the loudest person in the room. It is the person who can leave the room and not look back. It is the person who does not explain their value. It is the person who does not react on command. It is the person who can be kind, but not available to everyone. Soft, but not weak. Silent, but not empty. Calm, but not harmless. So the next time they ignore you, do not panic, do not chase, do not over-explain, do not perform, watch, learn, withdraw, improve. Because the day you stop begging to be seen is the day people finally start looking. And by then, you may no longer care who ignored you, because you will have become someone they can no longer afford to underestimate. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe to Omnarin. Here, we study silence, self-control, dark psychology, and the art of becoming impossible to ignore.